My name is Dr. Nick Cormus. I'm an endocrinologist, which means I'm a specialist physician, and my area of expertise is in obesity medicine. I instituted, run and coordinate the metabolic rehabilitation clinic here at Camden for the area.
Dr. Cormus, can you explain the general idea of an obesity clinic? I guess it's to centralise different techniques and specialist areas that are all relevant.
What we do in this clinic is it's a specialised clinic that treats people who have diabetes and obesity. And the philosophy and the general principle is that if you have obesity and you have diabetes, you need to be treated differently to someone who has diabetes and is just a little bit of overweight, is just marginally overweight. Someone who has obesity is at least 15 kilograms overweight. It's not just a few pounds overweight. We're talking about someone who's at least 30 pounds overweight. And the reason I say that you have to treat these people differently is that if you have obesity and you have diabetes, basically if you achieve a healthier weight and you improve your fitness levels, you outperform any medications we currently have at the moment. And in fact, the treatment can be so good that if you have diabetes, and we'll give you examples today, you can actually reverse that diabetes and put it into remission. So in other words, when someone says to you, you've got diabetes, you can actually get to a stage where you don't have diabetes. And I think most people don't realise that. They think once they're labelled with diabetes, they've got it forever. And that's what we do. We basically treat the diabetes by focusing on their weight and their fitness. If you lived in the eastern suburbs or somewhere else, if you wanted to be active, you could actually go for a walk along the beach. Whereas as you become more remote, it gets hotter out here, it gets colder in winter. There aren't, for example, in some areas there aren't the footpaths that are needed. So to have a facility where you can exercise safely and it's indoors means that it's much easier for people to exercise. And the other things you might say, well, why don't our patients simply go to a traditional gymnasium? They won't go to a gymnasium because if you ask most of our patients, they won't go and exercise next to someone who's slim, taut and terrific. Not initially, but after they've been in the program, let's say for 18 months or 2 years, they build up the confidence, they feel safe medically, and then they will move on to these programs. So this is like a bridge between the medical rooms and into the real world. It's hard enough for people to lose weight when they're obese, let alone if they have diabetes, because the medications that are traditionally used to treat diabetes actually promote further weight gain. These medications actually stimulate your appetite. So it's a vicious cycle.
My name is Ian Kimber. I'm a local resident of Camden. Some time ago I was reading the local paper and I saw an article about this program, and there was certain criteria that was required for participation, and I commented to my wife that sounded perfect for my condition, and I made some inquiries, and then I had an appointment with Dr. Cormus, and away we went.
And how long have you been attending here now?
Well, right from the very, very beginning. I was one of the first patients at when the exercise classes started. And I was obviously in the lead up to that, seeing Dr. Cormus and the dietitian and psychologists and so on and so forth. So between then and now, I've lost 13 kilos.
Right. And has that put you back in a safe and comfortable weight range, or do you have a little way to go yet?
As far as I'm concerned, I've still got a long way to go, but I'd like to lose ideally another 16 kilos. I started actually at 152, that was well before the program, and I lost best part of 9 or 10 myself before I even came and participated in the program. So all up, I've lost around 26 kilos.
Can you describe the impact that's had on your life, on your quality of life?
It's massive. I was talking to somebody the other day, and all other medical problems aside, it gives you a real sense of lift. Actually, you feel a lot more. You feel lighter. That's very difficult to describe, but you do. You feel lighter. I was lifting a suitcase the other day that my wife had stuff in, and it was 15 kilos. And I said to her, I don't know how I carried this around. I really don't. It literally has made that much difference. I bounce when I walk, you know, which is totally different to how I was. I mean, I can't even conceive what it was like when I was 152. I can barely remember that, you know. So it's changed the way we eat in our family. According to my 3 teenage children, our pantry is positively boring, but that's fine. My wife and I now eat what we want to eat and how we want to eat, so it's made an enormous difference to both of us.
My name is Frances Warner. I'm a housekeeper for a mansion and I live at Menangle. I didn't know I had diabetes. I went down to our local chemist and they had a diabetic association clinic nurse come through, and I went to talk about my husband, and then they did the test for myself. I got such a big shock when I had the diabetes, and as same with Ian, I saw it in the local paper, so I went to my local GP and just came up with my forms and I got onto the program.
And if it's not a rude question, how much weight have you been able to lose, Frances?
I started at 151 and now I'm 106.
Fantastic.
So I do the gym here 4 days a week, and Nick has got me into the hydrotherapy over at Campbelltown. So I bought a size smaller swimmer, and I was really worried about seeing all that in one go, but I feel confident now. So.
And can you describe to me the sorts of activities and weight loss schemes and things you were involved in before coming here to the clinic? Were you one of these people who went from diet to diet? And
of course I did. I was the founding member of Camden Calorie Counters, and I think I was the only one that put on weight by the time I'd finished. But I used to go every week. I've tried things at home, but now I have my little Bible and I write everything down. Everything I eat, everything I drink. If I have 6 chips, I write 6 chips. If I have half a muffin, it's got to be either a large one or a small one, and I write that down. I weigh my cheese. I certainly have changed.
So, Dr. Cormus, what can you tell me about the actual exercise equipment here?
Well, it's the equipment here. We've got 2 areas. We've got an area where we've got cardiac equipment. As you can see, Ian's on a bike. And we've also got another area where we've got weights and resistance type training. So it's a great facility where patients, the gymnasium is right next door to the clinic, and patients, it's basically a one-stop shop where they can be seen medically and also then come and exercise as well.
Yep. And Ian here, he's putting in the hard yards, and we see he's worked up a bit of a sweat. Would you say that Ian, though, was sweating a lot more when he first came in here, and he's been a pretty marked improvement?
Definitely. The improvement's great. And Ian will tell you himself, he couldn't do anywhere near as much exercise as he can now. Yeah. For a lot of our patients, they go from a situation where they do absolutely no exercise at all to a situation where they actually leave the program confident enough, fit enough and safe enough to be able to go to a gymnasium in the commercial world, whereas they could never do that before.